welcome back to the news. Today I have the world-renowned author Stephen with me to talk about the Gulf War.
Well, thanks, Miko. So to start it off, more than 4,000 Canadian Armed Forces members served in the Gulf War that occurred. They helped push away the invading forces of Iraq to Kuwait.
When did this happen?
It started in August 1st, 1990.
How did the leader of Iraq respond?
The leader of Iraq, which is President Saddam Hussein, did not respond to this conflict at all.
How did the other countries' leaders respond?
So the president of the U.S., which was President George W. Bush, and the British Prime Minister helped form an alliance with other 35 nations to push Iraq's military force away from Kuwait.
Well, some of the two strongest countries in the world, right, Stephen?
Yeah.
What was Canada's effect on the war?
Mulroney ordered a naval task group to help out with 2 destroyers, a supply ship, with 5 other helicopters on board. They sailed from Halifax on 24th of August, and they began operations on October the 1st. To assure everyone of the safety, no Canadian ground forces participated in the invasion of Iraq. Then Canada sent forces to the Persian Gulf region in 1990 from 1990 to 1991 to help liberate Kuwait.
What happened after the Gulf War?
To make sure the conflict doesn't happen again twice in history, the UN approved a series of 12 UN Security Council resolutions. And the US and Saudi Arabia took the lead to arrange the actions of the countries that are in the alliance.
Well, wasn't that interesting? Thanks for being here today, Stephen.
Thank you for having me, Miko.
Welcome back. And now I have with me Dr. Nasser to talk about Canadian forces and Somalia. Welcome, Nasser.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. So, in late 1992, the Canadian Airborne Regiment joined a UN peacekeeping mission in Somalia, which was currently being controlled by warlords and clans and being swept over by a famine.
When did this all begin?
Well, it all began around 1992, when the U.S. was sending aid shipments into Somalia to help support the people. However, these shipments were being intercepted and they needed more troops to help stabilize the country, which had a fallen government.
How did this happen?
Well, 1,250 Canadian men were contributed to help in Somalia and to stabilize the country and defend the shipment.
What was the issue involving Canadian forces?
Well, in 1994, public inquiry was made regarding alleged violence against Somalians. The most well-known incident was against a Somalian teenager who was shot and tortured by Canadian soldiers.
Isn't that shocking, folks? I never thought that would happen.
I know, it was a shame to Canada, and it was a spot on our peacekeeping record.
How did it all end?
Well, Clayton Mashdi, one of the 2 soldiers directly involved in the main incident, was to stand for trial for his actions. However, he ended up trying to hang himself and suffered severe brain damage. He was deemed unfit for trial. The other, Private Kyle Brown, was found guilty and sent to 5 years in military prison. In the end, out of 28,000 soldiers, 150 died, and it was not a successful mission, since Somalia still has a fallen government and is run by clans and warlords.
Well, isn't that just tragic, folks? Thanks for being here, Nasser.
Well, thanks for having me.
Welcome back. And now we'll be talking about Canada and the Afghanistan War. Canada's mission in Afghanistan started in October 2001 when Prime Minister Jean Chrétien announced that Canada would join a NATO coalition attack force to invade Afghanistan. Prime Minister Chrétien pledged to support the United States in its effort to drive out the Taliban for their actions on 9/11. But the purpose of the mission for Canada was to help Afghans rebuild Afghanistan into a stable country. By the end of 2001, the Taliban had been driven from power in Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda and the Taliban recruited a guerrilla army to fight against the government and the NATO forces, and were effective as there were many casualties. After many years and multiple missions, results are evident as by the fall of 2006, PRTs from over 30 NATO nations have successfully made the lives of millions of Afghans better. Examples are such as enrolling 4 million children into primary school and aiding in the return of 3.5 million refugees back to Afghanistan. But during this time period, there are discussions about whether Canadian soldiers should remain in Afghanistan. Multiple political parties gained voters in that period based on their promise to bring home the soldiers. From 2001 to 2007, Canada provided $741 million of financial aid to Afghanistan and suffered casualties, as it reported 158 soldiers were killed during the mission. Many people were wondering if this was all worth it. Canada withdrew and ended its mission in 2011, and all soldiers returned home on March 15, 2014. Whether this was all worth it is up to you, for you to decide, but I am sure that everyone was happy to see their loved ones return home. That is all for today. Be sure to tune in tomorrow where we talk about ISIS and Donald Trump.